everyone, and welcome to Startup Central, the first and only daily show in India dedicated to startups and entrepreneurships. I'm Avan Dabash, and as we speak, there's a story that's coming for you on your screens. The NCERT has ordered the commencement of insolvency process. This is against homestay aggregator Stayzilla, and Stayzilla can file an appeal with the appellate tribunal against that order. Remember, Stayzilla was started in the year 2006 by Yogendra Vasupal, Sachit Sanghi and Rupal Yogendra, and it ran into tough weather when Jigsaw initiated criminal proceedings against the promoters. This came on the back of a payment issue. Let's bring on board Rahul Dayama. He's on top of that story with the latest details. Rahul, rewind the clock. Tell us what exactly these proceedings were pertaining to and what exactly is the case right now in the NCERT order.
Avan, this has been one of the most watched cases as far as the startup ecosystem is concerned. Remember early this year when Jigsaw really filed this complaint and said that, Stayzilla has defaulted on dues of over 1.7 crore rupees and they should pay up. Stayzilla, on the other hand, hit back by saying that the quality of the services offered by Jigsaw weren't up to the mark. This was largely around outdoor advertising and other services that Stayzilla had sought. So, it went on to sort of become a movement in the startup ecosystem because you had Yogendra Vasupal, the co-founder, being arrested. He spent a considerable amount of time in judicial custody. He has to battle it out, finally securing a bail. All this while throughout, we saw entrepreneurs write to the Home Minister, even to the Prime Minister, seeking his intervention on this issue. Today, the NCERT, we have this confirmed from sources, also has ordered insolvency proceedings. Remember, all throughout, Stayzilla has maintained that it hasn't defaulted on the payments and all that. This is an issue relating to quality of services, and they will not pay for something that they haven't got by. Jigsaw, on the other hand, has maintained that it is a startup in itself, and the fact that Stayzilla hasn't been paying those dues has affected their business. Remember, Stayzilla shut down operations early this year. They said that they will pivot to a new model, but all of this really went haywire after the co-founder was arrested. So Stayzilla continued to be in the news for all wrong reasons. This will come as a big blow for Stayzilla and its co-founder Yogendra Vasupal, also to the startup ecosystem, because this would sort of signal how vendor due cases in the country will be looked at. So as you rightly mentioned, they will have an opportunity to appeal before the appellate tribunal, but a big setback for Stayzilla that this is a big breaking story.
Okay, thanks very much, Rahul, for joining in and filling us in with all of those details. So clearly, as of now, that's the latest which is coming in on Stayzilla, where the NCERT has ordered the insolvency, saying that they've committed a default in making their payments. Moving right on, the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley expressed hope that digital payments are going to pick up momentum with more advanced technology coming into the market. At the Google event during the launch of the Google TZ app, he mentioned, "We've reached a peak figure after demonetization marginally slipped, and now it's bound to pick up again."
8th of November last year, I think it was a shock to many in the Indian economy, but it was something which was waiting to happen. And after that, we've seen the debate evolve itself. There's been, in some circles, a lack of understanding because some identified the whole idea of finding alternatives to the cash economy as to only how much money reaches the banks and how much gets finally confiscated. I've always had three important red lines as far as my own analysis is concerned. The first being how much in terms of sheer volumes of the cash that the Reserve Bank prints are we able to squeeze over a period of time. As we stand today already, the high denominational currency has squeezed in terms of both volumes. And it's a process which is, the squeeze process is something which is over a period of time going to happen in the natural course of the economy itself. We reached a peak figure, then it marginally slipped and is now bound to pick up again. And the exercise that Google has undertaken today, I think in addition to the entire effort of the UPI platform itself, various government moves in this direction, I think is going to, over the pace of the next few months, going to make a major advance in that direction. These three criteria, I think, will always remain as the major measures or tests to see how far we have progressed. I am very clear in my mind that on all three counts, both in the medium term and in the long term, the advancement is going to be in a positive direction.
India is expected to have over 650 million internet users by the year 2020. Google's mission in India is Internet for every Indian. Building an inclusive internet is central to our mission. Whether it's a small sari shop owner in Chandni Chowk or a web developer working from a home, access to the internet is the foundation. Hence, we focused our energy on creating an unparalleled Wi-Fi experience, together with our partners RailTel and the Indian Railways. Today, over 6.5 million Indians use this service. In many ways, this initiative has revived the importance of investing in high-speed public Wi-Fi networks, and we look forward to significantly expanding Google Station, which is our Wi-Fi product, over the near future. We start with access, but we also need to create awareness and educate people on how to use the internet. Our Internet Saathi initiative is now in 100,000 Indian villages. We have over 25,000 full-time Internet Saathis, and they have trained over 10 million women over the past 2 years. The impact that the internet is having on these women and their communities is truly incredible. Next is content in Indian languages. For this, we have tapped into machine learning and artificial intelligence to ensure that every Indian internet user is able to access the internet in their own language. And I'm delighted to say that in the last year, Hindi voice searchers have grown at 400% year on year, a lot of which is a result of our efforts in speech recognition to enable voice input in 8 Indian languages. Across all of these initiatives, our underlying objective is to overcome the barriers that prevent Indians from accessing the full value of the internet. We can't solve these issues by ourselves. This is why we are investing in many ecosystem initiatives, such as training small and medium businesses through our Digital Unlocked initiative and helping startups solve for India. At this juncture, we are incredibly excited about the new opportunities that the internet is opening up in India. We are very encouraged with the deep partnership we have with the Government of India and our many industry partners, and are committed to the government's vision to create a new India.
In fact, tech giant Google made its foray into India's digital payment ecosystem with its app Tez. Backed with Google's simple and secure infrastructure, the company claims that it will make digital transactions even more easier in a cash-based economy.
We focused on first understanding what is really needed in India. We've done a number of innovations across Google products, like adding offline on YouTube or Google Maps to make products work much better for Indian users. And this was one, when we looked around, we realized that digital payments and commerce were an area which could benefit from a lot of innovation. The vast majority of the Indian economy is still cash-based. And we felt if we could bring some of our ideas, some of our insights and our innovations to the space, we would do a part in helping get to a cashless India, digital India, and a new India.
The government already has another UPI-based payment platform, Bheem, as well as there are a number of players currently dominating, which are in the digital transaction ecosystem. What sets the Google's apps aside in the entire scheme of things?
So if you look at it, Bheem is built on top of UPI. So we, as well as many other apps, are all built on top of UPI, the standard that's been created by the government. Again, to come back to, India is still a very cash-based economy. So we are very early in the game. And all of us, not just Tez, not just Google, but other companies, we all have to innovate to really get to that vision of a digital India, a cashless India, and a new India.
And in terms of acceleration and future possibilities, what kind of potential do you see there, being the fact that India is still predominantly a cash-based economy?
So we think there's huge opportunity. The cash mode feature we've added today, we think will work very, very well for users, for many small businesses, for many service providers like your auto rickshaw payments or a small shop or a general store near your house. And there are many more innovations that we have still in store that we'll roll out over the next few years. And
before I let you go, any other India-specific projects that Google is working on right now that we can expect in the future?
I'm afraid I won't be able to share anything with you, but India is a very, very high priority country for us. We're constantly working on making our products work better and working on new products for India. So you just have to stay tuned.
All right, in fact, let's bring on board guests to discuss this topic and take it further. Sanjay Swami, Managing Partner, Prime Venture Partners, joins in on the show right now. We also have Nikhil, Fellowhead, iSpirit Foundation with us on the show. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us. Sanjay, I'm going to come to you first. Start off by telling us what Google's entry into the payment space really means for the overall ecosystem. Is this a big player?
Absolutely. I think there are multiple facets to this. But I think the first point about India being a very important market for Google, and now they're building products which are very India specific, is also very important to appreciate. India is actually the single largest market in the world for Google in terms of number of users, because we already have 350 million smartphone users in India. And of course, India is probably 90% mobile internet and 90% of that is Android. So we're already the single largest market in the internet in terms of number of users across the world, because they're not present in China and the US is less than this. So I think we're going to start seeing several India-specific products from Google moving forward. From the payments industry perspective, I think this is a landmark event. I think it's going to start redefining the industry. I know we've heard rumors about WhatsApp also coming in eventually. But fundamentally, I think this is a new world with Google entering the space. The initial product that they've rolled out, I've played around with it a little bit today, and I believe Nikhil who's also on this has also been playing around with this. I think it's a very strong version 1.0 of this product, and it shows that they're serious about getting this right. So they've definitely got a lot of things right already, but you can be sure that over a period of time, they are going to be a very committed and strong player here. For the incumbents, I think, which there are a few players. I'm sure they're all taking note today and probably a little concerned. Frankly, if you're focused on P2P payments or small merchant retail payments, and it's still a very nascent stage of the market, your world just got turned upside down today with the entry of someone like Google. So I think, while there might be bravado, the reality is people are going to look at this very seriously and say, if these are going to be, the big players are here to stay, then, we need to start defining certain niches around which we can actually offer a differentiated and possibly cooperate and, stay, viable in these markets. Because I think the basic experience of moving money between two users now is just going to get commoditized. So I think it's a very significant event today, and I think it's the start of a new wave of digital payments here in India.
About you, did your world get turned upside down? Because, you were the part of the team as well that worked with the NPCI on the Bheem app. That really kicked off the UPI revolution, so much so that everyone's on it now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fascinating journey. It's been a fascinating journey to see UPI grow from in the last 1 year. We in fact went live commercially sometime in last September as a platform, and in the last 12 months we've seen the platform grow to almost doing $500 million every month on the network. I think as a part of the team which has been working with NPCI, I'm extremely glad and happy to see this change. This is in some sense a dream come true for something which has been built as a completely API-based platform. With more and more companies coming and innovating on payments in India, we'll now see payments becoming a part of various different business processes. For example, I'd expect Google to enable all of their developers in India to collect payments on their Android apps and so on and so forth. So I think we have a long way to go, but this is a great starting point, and we're super glad that somebody like Google is participating in the UPI ecosystem.
Yes, indeed, this is a big step in the direction. You know, just to get right back to you then, Sanjay, from wallets last year, we're seeing the focus shift to UPI-powered payment apps. Is UPI now the way forward? Okay, I'm just going to come in there. I think we have a bit of an audio problem, Sanjay, so we're going to reconnect that line with you so that we can get your opinion on the same. So, Nikhil, let me toss that question over to you. You know, we've spoken about, you just elaborate a little bit about the UPI revolution, so to speak, but given the fast and hectic pace at which we've moved wallets and now this, you know, UPI-powered payment apps, is this what everyone is going to resort to in some time?
Yeah, so the question really is this the right platform to choose if you're going to be building a payments business in India, right? From that perspective, if you try to, you know, understand UPI, today it connects over 650 million bank accounts from over 60 plus banks into a central switch, gives you an API framework, which is what engineers love, and allows you to build user experiences, you know, the way you want to, right? And earlier to your question about, you know, are wallets more relevant or UPI is more relevant? UPI is more of protocol that allows money exchange between two accounts. Wallet was always a layer which was above a bank account, and you know, the friction of using wallet for a first-time user was, how do I load money into this wallet? And the loading money needed a digital instrument to be in place, whether you were using debit card or net banking. So the friction to get started on the wallet, you know, was, you know, how do I get started? How do I put money in it? How do I take out money, and so on? So what UPI does is, you know, it takes away that complexity and directly allows the user to transact from his bank account, almost providing the convenience of a wallet, but more secure with two-factor authentication as prescribed by RBI. So I see this as a natural choice of more such platforms like, you know, Google, and, you know, if people like WhatsApp, Paytm, and, you know, Amazon and more others to adopt, because what it really allows them is to build consumer experiences like never before. You know, this is a perfect example of how a banking API should be done, and you know, I'd probably see these people becoming more closer to people's everyday banking than the traditional banking apps.
You know, just a final question for you then, Sanjay. Google says that they're going to have a separate business portal for the online company. Is that something that's going to work? You spoke about WhatsApp as well, experimenting a similar model. And I asked you a question before we lost the line, which I posed to Nikhil as well. Is UPI the way forward? So just two questions.
Yeah, so I'll answer the second one first. UPI is definitely the way forward. Because what we want is to move to an interoperable model. You know, there is no point in working in silos anymore. I think wallets served a certain role in the past, but hopefully over a period of time, we'll soon see wallets also on the interoperable rails of UPI, and then everybody can pay everybody without worrying about, are you with a wallet or with a bank account or with a credit instrument. And as far as the, you know, businesses go, I think clearly from Google's perspective, the idea of bringing payments here is that once businesses come on board, particularly the long tail, which is where they're really strong, that will provide them with the opportunity also to upgrade them and allow them to advertise online and drive more business to the small businesses. So I think I would expect something tied to advertising and payment acceptance in Google's offering for small businesses. But I still, it's still early days. I think they'll first start by enabling them to accept payments and then start layering all these value-added services. And if you think about how this market is evolving, we've always believed, data is the new oil, and the transaction flow itself is not going to be a revenue generator. But as these data elements keep getting generated, then whether it's other financial services or advertising or other opportunities, that's how monetization will happen. And so I fully expect that Google will come up with something very well thought out for these SMEs.
Okay, lovely chatting with you both. Thanks so much, Sanjay, as well as Nikhil, for joining in and talking to us about really Google's India offering and the future of UPI, what it really means for the overall ecosystem as well. Tell you what, we'll take a quick break right here on the show. Stay with us. Got more lined up on Startup Central. Thanks for staying on with us. This is Startup Central. Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of the big stories that have taken place in the startup world of late. And Arun Natarajan, founder of Venture Intelligence, joins in. Arun, take us through the weekly data. What really has stood out?
Sure. After a very, very large week in the previous one, where OYO rooms raised as much as $250 million, the week of September 11, the one just gone by, was relatively comparable, at least in terms of the number of deals. We saw 10 investments go through compared to the 11 in the previous week. Value, obviously, thanks to there are no as big consumer transactions like OYO rooms or even Winnie Cosmetics. The value has come down to $80 million. However, given the context of the year so far, even $80 million is not a bad figure. In terms of the kind of companies that raised capital, predominantly B2B, especially in terms of the big ticket ones. We saw Warburg Pincus, the private equity player, commit $30 million more to e-commerce.
Just allow me to come in here, because we saw an internet company, matrimony.com, they hit the IPO markets. This is happening after a very long time. What kind of potential do you see for a company like this?
Indeed, matrimony.com, becoming the third pure play internet company. Clearly the Indian market does not have too many of them apart from Naukri, and last year we saw Infibeam. And why internet? We've just seen 10 tech IPOs in the last 1 decade. So just to put it in context, in the last 5 years we've seen more unicorns in the private side of things happen than tech IPOs, which is not a great sign from a liquidity perspective. So it clearly shows that how high the bar is for the startup ecosystem to aspire to go IPO, right? So whether it is and these are all companies primarily from the 2000 era that have managed to pull off IPOs. And so that's really, and if you take the common threads between Matrimony, which despite a couple of attempts even previously has managed to pull off a $77 million IPO now, the fact is they are so focused, and in fact they shed businesses, they took venture money and also expanded into other verticals, and then they decided, hey, I need to focus only on the matrimony space, and that's big enough. And that has a lot of parallels with other companies which have pulled off IPOs, whether it is MakeMyT.
Right. All right. We'll let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us all the buzz in the startup world and some of the big deals that took place. Completely out of time. So it's a wrap on the show. Thanks for watching.